Hey, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to do a bit of a shop tour slash car tour. This is actually the first video that I filmed, but it was also the first video that I lost. Got it all filmed and the footage got corrupted, and so was not able to put it out. So we're going to do that today. So just looking around, you can see that I am into Datsuns. That's primarily what I do. And I do some metal fabrications stuff on the side, wrenching, fixing, mechanical stuff, all of that. But as far as vehicles go, it's pre-80s Datsuns. Ideally earlier than 73, but for example, this is a 79. It ran from 73 to 79, so we're in that era. We'll start here. You've seen this truck on the channel probably a couple times by now. This is the latest build I've been actively working on. I bought this in probably 2019 or so. I can't really remember. And then I just kind of stashed it for a while. It was going to be a back burner project, and that's exactly what it was. And I started hitting it pretty hard last year. Did a bunch of rust repair, and you've seen that on the channel, but I'm getting this ready for a show that's coming up, and so I'm putting a ton of work into it. When I got it, the engine was locked up, there was a ton of rust, all of that, and so I put a new engine in it, L20B, fully rebuilt top and bottom end. Eventually, I'm going with a factory EFI setup on here. This is the factory EFI head, and I have the factory EFI manifold, and so it's the long-term plan for this. Pretty much stock as is. I'm not sure how it ended up that way, but it did. I got just the stock carburetor on here, stock downpipe, blah, blah, blah. But eventually that's going to change. I just kind of slapped this together just so I could get it on the road. And then from there, we'll put a little performance into it. Stock L20B, 5-speed. Interior-wise, like I've said, you've seen this on the channel before. Mid refurb on this, so got a bunch of junk in here, working on the doors and door panels and all of the interior stuff on here. Got a bunch of the parts I pulled off. A lot of this stuff will be for sale. I just don't need it, or it's doubles, triples. These are Inky 15x7s, 6-lug. They're 205 55 15, kind of a oddish tire size. A little bit of stretch on the tire, but not too bad. Long-term plan for this, kind of a work truck, shop truck, show truck, drive around truck, something like that, you know. Just wanted to kind of do a Ratty build on this. And then, even though it's a Ratty build, I'm going to try to make the interior nice. I like a nice interior. And so we'll see what we can do there. Not sure what we're going to do with the seats quite yet. Got a couple options you can see up here. I've got 2 sets of E30 sport seats. Those are some Recaros, but I'm not sure that would match in here. We'll try it maybe. Got the factory tack and a 720 steering wheel. But more to come on this. You'll see more details posted here as I'm working on this. My favorite car, probably not going to be able to guess, the 510, PL510. This was the first one that I really built. This is a 69. I bought all 3 of these cars actually from the same owner. I bought these 2 from them at once. I think I paid $500 for this one, and I paid $700 for this one, and that was right around 2011, 2012, something like that, probably. Can't really remember. That one had a title. This one had no title. Since this one had no title, I sold it to me for $500. It was a shell. There was no interior. Actually, it had an L16 in it, and I actually have the original L16 over there, so forgive me. This one was the shell. This one just was completely stripped. They were using this for parts, and it was going to be a race car, which I'm glad it never turned into that. I got the 68 grille on it with dapper LED headlights. L20 Z Therapy rebuilt SUs, so this thing runs pretty good. 280ZX front struts, again, T3 coilovers, adjustable dampers. You might begin to see a theme. Love to have the 280 ZX struts on almost everything I drive. They're just a great upgrade. This is a rebuilt L20B. I don't think I rebuilt the head on this, but it's a good head. It says an 87 peanut head. This is a good driver. Koyo radiator. These have never let me down, so very nice, very nice. Yeah, I went through this one top to bottom, and this one I've just kind of been working slowly over the years just to paint. I actually did this paint on this fender and this door here last year to take it to some shows. And then prior to that, a while ago, I did this door. I did this. When I got this car, I'll grab some pictures and throw it in here to show you what this looked like when I first got it. This door was crushed in. This had a lot of issues here and rust. Painted this, painted all that. But there's still more work to do. You can still see there's primer up here. And then the other side is still not painted. And this is not painted. So this is probably the factory paint here. But there were some spots here and there that had been painted before. BMW flag mirrors on the side. I think those look nice. We've got the Star Sharks. Those are a recent addition. These SSR call them Star Sharks. Inside, completely redid the interior on this guy. The 69 is a 1 year only dash. Pretty close to the 68, but not quite. Got the factory clock over there. You can see this. This is something I did myself, which is a gauge cluster, custom gauge cluster with speed hut gauges. So we've got oil pressure, water, a little tack here, which is nice, and then the voltage right there. This has the factory radio in it, but someday I'll probably take this factory radio out and do a vintage audio or whatever, I can't remember the name, but the Bluetooth stereo that, you know, kind of looks like, looks like the factory stereo. It's got a dogleg 5-speed in it with a dogleg 5-speed shift knob. This is a nice shift pattern. Factory floor mats, the rubber floor mats. Peter Brock signed ashtray. Someday probably would like to vinyl dye the roof, but the headliner's in good shape. Recaro LSC seats. I think I picked these up a long time ago for $200, which is unheard of today, but they were pretty ratty. I reupholstered these. The middle inserts are factory. Those are exactly how they come. Oh, hey, look. Looking for that. Hey, it still works. All right. Door panels. Yeah, those are the factory door panels. Nothing else to say. This, again, this is a 720, the ST model steering wheel. Got the same one over there. Picked this one up from the same guy. Actually, I picked these two up, and then several years later, they reached out and said, hey, do you want to buy my two-door as well? Sadly, the owner of these passed away, and this was his personal driver. And they said, hey, you bought my other ones. I actually bought another one from them as well at the same time as I bought this, which was a white 4-door. And I ended up selling that one, keeping this one. This one I haven't done anything with, really. It was and is a running driver. L20B, SUs. There's nothing wrong with this. It does leak a little bit of oil, so someday that'll be a project. I gotta pull that out, get that sealed up. Here's the interior. Got the wink mirror up there. Nice dash here. Still really nice. It does have an aftermarket radio in there, but I didn't hack that up. I put that in there because I already had a bezel that was already modified, so I threw that in there. I said, hey, why not? Let's put a modern radio in it. Did that. I did a seatbelt planet. I think seatbelts. I think that's where these came from. Recaro seats again. I'm not sure what model. They're slightly different between the two. The driver's has adjustable bolsters here, which is nice. And the passenger is not. Just needs a little cleaned up in here a little bit. I could use that, but I haven't really done much with this one other than drive it. There's no point in doing that. But I would like to clean it up on the inside just a little bit someday, but not today. So that's that. This is a two-door. You can see that has been resprayed at one point, but really like this car. It drives really well, has front and rear sway bars on it. I put these on here. These are 15-inch wheels. I can't remember what they came off of. They're Mirage wheels, I think. I can't really remember, but these are 195 60-15s. They're just old tires. They originally were on here when I was building this one, and then I got the Star Sharks and put them over here. So fit pretty good. Stock brakes, stock struts on here. Someday this will get a 280ZX front end swap as well, but this starts and brakes pretty good. One thing I don't like is because it has the SU and stock air box, it has a single master on it. Don't really love that, but you know, it is what it is. This one is a someday project. Has a bit of rust. I think it probably came out of Idaho or Spokane or something like that. I don't really remember the whole story on it. Two-door, that's why I kept it, but the floor pans need some work. It's full of parts. This is kind of my part stash. I have some floorboards in there, and you can see the dash is all, it's kind of junky. But what I do have in here, probably the most valuable part of this one is I have I can't open it up right now, but I was using this for a test rig for a single overhead cam KA swap. So there's a KA sitting in there, and I got the aluminum radiator. You can see that, the same one that's in that. So someday we'll get to that. It's been sitting like that for a while. The game plan was just to get that KA running and all the wiring sorted, and then swap it into my four-door here. So that will probably be the plan, but it's been in this state for over 10 years. So I don't know, maybe in the next 10 years we'll get that done. And this is my 1972 Datsun 1200. This is the B110. Has an A14 with a 5-speed in it. It is the standard shift 5-speed, not the dog leg. I'm thinking about changing this to a dog leg, which I have, but I haven't done any work on this one for a while. It's got 280ZX front struts with some adjustable coilovers, adjustable dampers. 14-inch wheels. They're kind of beat up, but hey, they work. I like the gold combo, so I went with those. I got flat tires. This thing's been sitting for a while. Yeah, this is one of the projects that I finished a while ago. I did the whole interior on this. This used to be a tan interior. And if I have any pictures, I'll include those here, but changed all the door panel, or I used some vinyl dye, dyed the door panels, blacked out everything in here, black carpet, the cocoa mat, floor mats, might have seen those in the previous video. These are Volkswagen GTI seats, and they actually fit pretty decent in here. They're not in the greatest condition, but they're a manually adjusted seat, which is cool. Nice bolsters. They just sit up a tiny bit too high. That's my only complaint about them. But they look pretty good in here. Nardi steering wheel, like I said. 5-speed. I did this back seat. This is the original back seat, but I reupholstered it. Hopefully it's not too dark in there. And then you can also see the headliner is blacked out. That is, again, vinyl dye. Did a custom stereo in here, and I wish I could show that, but This actually looks like a stock stereo, but it is a vintage audio, I think. And so you have the Datsun faceplate here, but if you push this back behind it, you'll get a digital readout actually, so it's kind of cool. Tack. And I think that's pretty much it. Got 6x9s in the back window, back there. Yeah, I finished this one probably 2 or 3 years ago. Not much else to say about it, I don't think. Pulled this one out of the LA area and bought it from a fellow that had it for a very long time. It was his baby. Took pretty good care of it. This is not the original paint. When I bought it, I was under the impression it was original paint. I was told that it is mostly original paint, but it's not. I haven't driven it for a while because I have a little bit of an issue. There's a rubbing noise in the back and I just haven't investigated that. So I'll probably do a video on that at some point and get that fixed up, but yeah, this is it. What else? The next project, once this is done or on the road and driving, they're never really done, is probably going to be a Datsun 1200 coupe, which maybe I'll take you outside here and show you the yard. It's going to be a little loud because there's a little road noise, but let's go out there and take a look. All right, you've seen this one on the channel before. I picked this up. This is just parts car. This does run not very well, but picked this guy up for I think 500 bucks. I was actually interested in one of these 1200s and the guy had this there too. And he offered to sell it to me for 500 bucks and it has a title. So I was like, yeah, I cannot pass on that. This, another parts truck. I bought these, 2 of these, pulled them out of a place over on the coast. I bought this one because it was a short bed and it has disc brakes. I thought it was a factory disc brake truck, but it is not. This one actually has a disc brake conversion on it, but it has a L20B in it. So I think I paid 200 bucks for this thing, no title, so it's just a parts rig. So this is the next project. The next project is going to be a 1200 coupe, and that's what these 3 are here. And I'm actually gonna be building this one. That's why it's fully under a cover. The only problem is this has no rust in it except for the roof, which is maybe the worst part. This was a vinyl top car, and vinyl top cars trap moisture under them and then they rust out. And so because of that, I needed to buy some parts cars. Also, this is a shell. There is no engine, transmission, anything, no interior, nothing. It's just purely a shell, but I have a title for it. I went through the lost title process, got a title, and then, like I said, I picked this one up for parts, and then I've got another one right here also for parts. So I think between the 3 of these, I can build this one. These 2, you can see they're all dented. Probably, they're incredibly rusty. That one's really, really rusty. Every panel on this one is dented or rusted. This hood's actually not too bad, but yeah. I believe they're automatics or 4 speeds. Neither of those are particularly valuable at all. There's actually some fluid in that still. But yeah, these are pretty much junk. This one was last on the road in '98. This one was last on the road in 1990. So this one, I don't know when that was on the road, but yeah, the next project which I'm probably not gonna do for a while, maybe next year, I don't know, but no rush, is to build these. So here's a look at the actual shop. Built this probably 2 years ago now. It is a 40 by 48 pull style building, 6-inch concrete throughout. It is just over 1,900 square feet, somewhere between, I think it's like 1,920 or 1,950 square feet, something like that. What else can I say about it? I did all the electrical myself. I did all the insulation, painting, everything. I installed this lift. I just had somebody come in and put up the building and do the concrete work, and then I took it from there. I had the whole thing poured for 6-inch concrete just so I could install a lift wherever I wanted, but what I did as a mistake is I didn't space where they cut the concrete lines. And then when I did the rebar spacing wasn't quite enough for this particular lift. It probably would have been fine. I've seen a ton of people who have installed these lifts right over the top of these expansion joints or cut lines, and it's been fine, but I went in, I had somebody come in and cut out that concrete and re-pour this. This is about 12 inches thick, and so there's no problem here with this. I had another plan to install another lift over here, and that may happen someday, or might even go with a 4-post. 4-post you can move around. Not hurting for that. It would be nice for storage. And speaking of storage, when I had them do that work here to cut the footings for this, I actually poured some footings over here, which are probably sitting under one of these cars. You can barely see it right down there, a footing here and a footing here. And that is really because someday I'd like to build a mezzanine right here. I can't build a mezzanine if I keep working on these cars. So at some point I'm gonna have to take a break from these cars and get back to building the shop. What else can I say? I got this man lift here, which I bought so I could do all the electrical in here. And I got a parts washing station, vise, Everlast 255, TIG welder, and cooler. I have not used this all that much, I gotta be honest. I just bought it, and I am trying to learn to TIG weld. That takes some time. I haven't got to it. Eventually, I'll be doing some TIG welding. Here's my MIG setup. Eastwood MIG 175, set up for primarily sheet metal. You saw that in some of my other videos, but that works pretty good. I need to get a better air compressor. This little guy is way undersized for the work that we do. But honestly, most tools are moving over to electric, and so I'm finding less and less that I actually need this. But it is nice to have, and to run the big things like sanders and stuff like that, bigger would be better. Yeah, and that's the space. That's it. I don't think there's anything else I can say about it. I'll be doing a lot more videos from this space and building all sorts of stuff in here. So if you like that kind of content, feel free to subscribe, leave a comment, and then I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.